and welcome to Strictly Business, which is sponsored by the Bellingham Business Association, the BBA, a nonprofit organization that supports local business and gives back to the community. I'm Marjorie Hollman. I'll be your host today. I'm a longtime Bellingham resident, personal historian, freelance writer, and board member of the BBA. As a personal historian, I help you turn your family tales into written stories in book form that you can be proud to share with your family and friends. I also produce the Bellingham Mendon Veterans Oral History Project, which collects stories from local veterans about their military experience. We tape those interviews right here at the Cable 8 studios, then forward the stories on to the Library of Congress. Thanks to Cable 8 and many others who are supporting this project. Today's guests are Cindy McNulty and Caryn Drones of the Bellingham Educational Foundation. Now, before we get started, I wanted to provide a brief recap of recent BBA events. This past month, the BBA offered a Taste of Bellingham at the Bellingham Public Library. Attendees had the opportunity to network with numerous area business people and enjoyed food samples from local area restaurants, including Lowell's Restaurant, PJ's Bar and Grill, Outback Steakhouse, The Uncommon Place, Mac's Roast Beef, Bamboo Express, Aroma's Pizza and Grill, Whole Foods Market, and the Father's Table. Gorgeous flower arrangements were courtesy of Brian's Country Greenery. Welcome, Cindy and Caryn. Thank you for being with us on this segment of Strictly Business. Why don't we get started by telling us a little bit about your background, how you got started working with the Bellingham Educational Foundation, and what you love about it. Cindy, you're the president. You want to start first?
Sure. I've been a resident of Bellingham for just over 15 years now. Came here fresh off of a career at Fidelity Investments and settled in Bellingham with my family, or my husband, I should say, and decided to start a family. So after my two kids were born, I became actively involved in the school systems and started with the PTO at South Elementary. Got actively involved in the fundraising there and carried that level of interest with me and my kids up to the middle school. Did some fundraising there, and for the past 3 years I've been working with the Ed Foundation.
Okay. How about you, Caryn?
Well,
you're the vice president, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
Cindy roped me in, as she usually does. No, I've been in Bellingham a little over 11 years now. Started my family here. Actually, I think Cindy and I met through the Moms Club in town. So we had a working relationship many years ago. And we've worked together closely at South Elementary with the PTOs there. And now here we are with the BEF.
So and what have you learned that helps you in this work? What about your background? What do you draw on when you are working with the Bellingham Educational Foundation?
Go ahead.
Well, as Caryn said, she and I have known each other for quite a while, and we both share a tremendous amount of enthusiasm for the education that our kids are going through and our fellow citizens of Bellingham, and it's a model that works real easy and it's fun. We've had, I don't know how many events now that we've co-planned, and our circle of friends have combined, and the power behind the relationships we've worked to build starting way back in, I don't even know when we first started this adventure, probably 2002 maybe?
2002, yep.
2003. It's just been fun. And it's fun to raise money for a cause as important as the education of all the kids here in the great town of Bellingham.
And what about you, Caryn?
I think what's been shocking is it's relatively easy to do what we do, as long as we continue to have a great group of supporters who have been so loyal to the BEF, and we continue to recruit new members to the BEF, which is always a good thing. And it's making it easier and easier moving forward, which is exciting, I think, for us, because the level of interest has gotten so high, and the publicity that we're getting now, the support from the BBA has kind of pushed us to the next level, which is what we've been hoping we would get to.
You're new honorary members of the BBA now as well.
That
Yes.
was
Thank you.
really
That was
exciting and
welcome.
humbling all at the same time. We're just
welcome.
so excited to be partnering with the BBA because, as Caryn mentioned, we want to take it to the next level. We've had the ability to consistently raise $20,000 a year. We'd like to see that number up closer to 50,000, and
Wow.
we know we can do that with partnerships with the local businesses, primarily in Bellingham, but at some point also extending beyond.
Well, why don't you tell me about the specific types of services that the Bellingham Educational Foundation does? I mean, you raise money, but what does that do? You know, money is money, but what's the guiding principle with the Bellingham Foundation, Educational Foundation? Maybe you could give us a little of the history of the foundation and what its goals are.
Sure. You want me to take that?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. The Educational Foundation actually was up and very active within the Bellingham community. I think it's going back 20 years now. And there were some key leaders in the town.
Wasn't it the late Mike Reed?
Yes, the late Mike Reed. And
Years ago.
And back in the day, it really served very similar to what we do now, which is raise money to turn around and give back to the schools. What we've done now, though, is implement a grant process, which basically has, we raise the money and then the teachers and faculty across all of the schools in the district have an opportunity to write a grant to apply for money.
Specifically to you. So
Yes.
it isn't that you just hand it to the budget and say,
No.
we've just upped the budget in the schools. You've said these are for specific projects
Right.
that teachers say, I'd like to do it if only, if
Right.
only.
Exactly. Do
It's
you
an
want to give
applic- yep,
like
it's
a
an
high
applic-
level of-
Sure, it's an application process that the teachers go through, whether it be maybe they have an idea for a solar-powered project they'd like to do within their curriculum that isn't necessarily funded through the school budget, because we all know that that can be a big challenge. So that's where the Education Foundation can come in to try to bridge that gap, as we like to say, between adequate and excellence, kind of giving some funding towards ideas and programs that might not necessarily be able to get the funding. So the teacher would have to write fill out the application or the grant proposal, submit that, and then we have a committee of people that gets together with all the applications, and we kind of go through and figure out, which are the strong leaders out of the pack of applications that we have. We try to make sure every school gets represented, and that's from pre-K all the way to 12th grade, also including the Primavera school as well.
Okay.
So then we kind of figure out how we're going to divvy up that amount of money, the 20,000. We have a rubric that we use.
Right.
And
Can you give me some examples of some of the projects that you have funded?
Sure. Last year we were able to award grants for the elementary schools to purchase iPad minis,
Yep.
to get the lingo right, along with docking carts and batteries to keep them charged. We also had grants that we awarded to Primavera to help with some of the funding to put some good resources into the library that the students use there. A grant for the middle school to help with the buddy program. Not
peer, I think they call that a peer buddy.
anti-bullying is what I meant to say, but peer buddy
Yeah, peer buddy.
as well.
So a lot of
across
not capital improvements, but
things that necessarily
materials
wouldn't
that-
come in under the traditional school budget that either because they have greater needs across different areas or, particularly in the area of technology, we really want to try to get Bellingham caught up to where everybody else is, and we've done a significant job in the last couple of years
Yep.
across the district, and so it was nice to be able to get the iPad minis into the elementary schools. The thing that was great about last year was our first year actually with the grant process, and I can't remember how many applications we had in total. I think it was 60 maybe?
60?
Somebody
60,
60, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we were able to award, I think the number was 12. I don't remember the number off the top of my head.
Okay,
But,
so the
but-
desire is there.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And it was great to be able to give something back to each school, as well as across not just the traditional, educational-based programs, but the arts and sciences and some
Okay.
books for the high school and history program. And,
Especially with the arts getting cut so often.
Right. And that's really why the BEF came back. Actually, about 3 years ago, I was at had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Fleury about what was going on and how
Superintendent
Fleury, yes, and it was just frustrating to see the number of teacher positions that were getting cut. And as parents, we wanted to try to figure out how we could try to help, really help what was necessary, but was there something else we could do? And he actually mentioned the Ed Foundation.
Oh, okay.
So 3 years ago, it started with a meeting. I think we had probably 25 people at that first meeting, and we now have a board of directors that's 10 people strong. And you know, like we just said earlier, forming a partnership with the BBA has been also very critical.
So it's not like
for us.
it can, but it's not like your efforts can add another teacher position. But that I'm not hearing. That's
No.
not
No.
your mandate.
No, that is not our mandate. It's more to supplement, you know, what they aren't able to do with the current budget, but not from filling a teacher or providing money for a teacher salary. That's not part of the bylaws of the Ed Foundation.
Okay. So what are some of the challenges that you're facing?
Having enough hours in the day to complete everything you'd love to do, I think.
And enough people.
And enough people, enough volunteers. Our base is growing, but still I think people, you know, feel the commitment to their individual PTOs or to their, you know, their sports schedules, and, you know, life is busy.
Sure.
So it's hard sometimes to get people to realize that, you know, you don't have to do a whole heck of a lot. We could use you for one little event, and you could support us, like, you know, for this one time, you know.
And we're trying to be smarter about how we market the Ed Foundation too. People might not have the time to donate, to actually come and be involved in planning a big event per se, but they could thank a teacher during the holidays or in the spring just by writing a check to the Ed Foundation. We turn around and let that teacher know that there are families that love them, and that money goes directly to the Ed
So
Foundation.
instead of all these presents that teachers get that they can't use, that are all the tchotchkes,
Yes.
that
The mugs, the rulers.
if they were going to
Yeah.
use that money, just say, this is a check I'm donating to the Bellingham Ed Foundation for a thanking to you.
Yes.
What a great idea for
Yeah.
us who don't know what to do for Christmas. And
Right.
just,
Right.
wow.
In fact, I think that's just coming out now to
Yep.
So
parents.
are
It's gonna be
you-
It's
coming
out
in the
there
mail.
now. Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're doing that as a, here, if you don't know what to give your teacher for Christmas,
Yes,
here's what you can do.
absolutely.
Okay, and we'll be getting contact information at the end of the program for how people can get in touch with you. There must be a way to donate on your website.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're trying to make it as easy as possible to
Well,
give us
sure.
money.
Right.
So, yeah, trying to catch up with technology
That's
and
right.
make sure we have that easy access button that you can just click
Click
and
to
give
donate.
us your credit card and send us the money.
Okay, so challenges are of limited people, but it sounds like you've got a pretty good amount of people. How many say fundraising type events do you try to undertake during the year? What do you have? Just a few focused ones? Do you have lots of little events?
One of the things we wanted to make really clear in the beginning of launching the Ed Foundation was to not give the impression to the PTOs in the existing schools that we're trying to compete with the money. Everybody has each school has a wonderful PTO that's doing a phenomenal job at fundraising. So because of that, we're trying to have a few number of events.
Right.
Okay.
And have those events raise a large amount of money. So for example, in the fall, the last 2 years, we've had a golf tournament.
Oh,
That's
okay.
brought us in about $7,000. And then in the spring, we've had, a fiesta, a Mardi Gras, and soon hoping to announce our next one for this year. And that event brings in about $10,000. So between those two events, that's the majority of the money we raise. And then we have
We've
the
inserted the
Thankathon.
Thankathons now for the holidays and for the end of the school year as well.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah. It's an easy way for families to feel like they're supporting the foundation and also acknowledging their great teachers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Do you have how structured?
For the Thankathon?
Yeah.
Actually, it's on our website now. I think we just put
Yeah.
that up today. It's a simple sheet of paper. You have an opportunity to name a teacher, a group of teachers, whomever, however you want to make the acknowledgement known, and you just put your family name. And write a check to the Ed Foundation. Then we turn around at the end of the period and that we're collecting them and provide each teacher that gets a donation on their behalf with a listing of which families made a donation on their behalf.
Okay, so
I believe
you
they actually
do
get a certificate as well
so
saying.
you do a lot of the work.
We do
It's
all
all
the
of
work.
it.
You just have to tell us who you want to thank and how much you
It's
want
not even
to
that
donate.
people have to even find a note card
No.
Oh, no.
and
No.
write a note, because some people say, yeah, that's a great idea, but I'm never going to get around to it. And
Right.
Nope.
who mails letters these days?
Right.
So you've structured it. So, oh, what a great
Yep.
idea!
Again, simple. Trying to keep
Yes,
it simple.
easy.
But
as
simple
easy as
isn't
possible.
easy.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it is.
We're
Finding-
learning. We're in our third
finding
year now, so
simple-
we're learning
yeah.
as we go, for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me something surprising that you've encountered in your experiences working with the Bellingham Ed Foundation.
Well, it's kind of easy to raise money if you try.
Yeah.
I know that sounds kind of bizarre, but I guess I've been shocked as to how much money we have been able to raise doing just what we're doing. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're not having grandiose ideas. It seems to be relatively easy to do what we do. That part is shocking to me. It's coming easy for us, which is a good feeling. It's also a little surprising.
Yeah, and I think
Oh.
the other surprise is because we get so excited and have so much fun, it's been great to watch that sort of spread across the town, so that what started as John Orthman asking us to come in and talk about the Educational Foundation for your nonprofit night has now
For the BBA.
for the BBA, has now translated into us being an honorary member, which we are absolutely thrilled about, and has opened the doors, I think, for partnerships for us to be able to forge across
Right.
the business community. So it was surprising at how
Right.
quickly that happened in a very good way.
In a very easy way.
And did you contact John, or did he contact you?
I actually played in the golf tournament for the BBA.
Oh, okay.
And we were gonna, he
So
had
you
actually,
gave back to us, and you gave back to the community in that way.
yeah, that's exactly
Okay.
what it is. It's a partnership, and I think,
Yeah.
Bellingham is such a small town, but we have a lot of people that really care deeply about this town and want it to be successful, and really are trying to be actively engaged in creating opportunities to get us on the map for all the right reasons. There's so much toxic nonsense out in the media right now that I think people really want to wrap their arms around something that's positive, and so it's really been amazing. It's been awesome
Well,
to
it
be
sounds
part of
like
it.
positive relationships that are.
Yes.
You're seeing some really good things.
Yes.
So, well, we have a few more minutes. Talk to me a little bit about what a typical meeting. How often do you even meet?
Quarterly.
We meet quarterly.
We meet
Oh, it isn't
quarterly.
monthly even?
No.
Okay.
As a board of director, your obligation is to come to a meeting once a quarter.
Yes.
Once a quarter.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing to me, because typically you end up with monthly meetings, and those can get just once a month, and it still ends up overwhelming. So you're only asking
Right.
people 4 times a year to
Yes.
come to a meeting. Where do you meet?
We typically meet either at the Keogh
Keogh.
Administration Building, or we have our holiday meeting coming up in December, which we're
Yes.
excited to be hosting with PJ's locally. So
PJ's Bar and Grill.
PJ's Bar and
Yes.
Grill,
Very
yeah,
nice.
absolutely. They've been very kind to us already, and
Yes.
we know we have a very bright future with them. So once a quarter, and I think Caryn will agree that we try to keep the meetings very
Light and fluffy.
I
as we like
say
to
light and
say.
fluffy all the time, but we have invested a fair amount of time in team building, because it is once a quarter, and so the first year, I'd say, plus, we spent a lot of time getting to know each other and figuring out.
Right.
I think a key turning point for us was figuring out who likes to ask for money, who has the ability to just give money, and who has the ability to, or who has the interest to actually do things. They like to plan, they like to get engaged. And so we went through an exercise, and when you saw that around the room, that we had a pretty decent balance of it, it helped us shape who became the leaders of the different roles that you could take on as a member.
Now, both of you are moms, and how do you balance what you do with kids, and do you take kids to these events? Do
Yes.
the kids know about your efforts? Where do your kids fit in with this, and how do you balance it?
That's a great
That is-
question. I think it's something that we do and struggle with every day, but I think
It's an ongoing process, the
we-
balance.
if people, if it's a deal breaker to not come to a meeting because you can't find childcare, it's not, we don't care. I mean, you come in, as long as we can continue to have a meeting without being too disrupted,
Right.
colored book and crayons or, an iPod, whatever it's going to do
Right.
to make it work, we're very willing to support people.
And how do your kids feel about the work? They must know that you're doing this for their
Yes.
sake.
Yes.
I found with my kids in particular now, and maybe it's because they're a little bit older, I have them, encouraging their teachers to get involved in the grants. It's money to give away.
Well, yeah.
Right.
So it's
Okay.
crazy not to at least apply. We're not always going to have enough money, but we're trying to really encourage the teachers to be collaborating across whether it's a subject or a team or a school, the district. So to get the kids involved in that, I think is an even
Well, my
neater
kids are that
approach.
much younger than Cindy's. I have a 5th grader, a 1st grader, and a kindergartner, and the 2 youngest just think Mommy goes to lots of meetings for the school. That's,
Right.
For them. But for my oldest, he's very aware of what I do, and he, I think, is proud of that.
Yeah.
He likes that about his mom, I think, just based on comments he's made to me. And so that's a good feeling. You kind of get a little return from your family in that respect, so it's nice.
Now, are you active with your PTO as well?
I was very actively involved at South and for my first 2 years at the middle school, but now more as a, I don't know what you would call it.
Liaison?
Yeah, I guess liaison. There are a number of people that are, have board positions that are also on the local PTO. So Lori and I, who's now the vice president at the middle school, she was the president before, we share a lot of ideas. And in fact, there was a grant that was applied for that we weren't able to fund, but the PTO did. So
Right.
that was amazing to see that play out. There's a
being
lot
more
of
We all work
complementary
Right.
and
Exactly.
as opposed to competitive. So,
Oh yeah,
And we
there's
are-
no
it was-
competitive nature at all. It's all in support of each other.
And on the board, the good thing is we have representation across all the schools in the district.
yeah, oh, good.
So that has
good.
been really helpful to
Right.
make sure we're balanced as far as our thinking and what we do with the funding.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add in the few minutes that we have left?
If you're not a fan of the Facebook page, you should definitely check that out.
Go in and
'cause
friend
that-
us, yeah.
Yep, go ahead and friend
And what
us.
is it called?
Bellingham Educational Foundation
Okay.
on Facebook. That's all you have to search. If you give that a like, you'll stay connected and you'll know what's happening.
And do you put up in updates regularly about
Yep.
what you're
You
doing?
can find out about the Thankathon there. You can see pictures from our golf tournaments. You can get a sense as to how we roll.
Some
Right.
of the fun you have.
Yes.
We also have a website, which is belledfound.org.
It's, spell it out.
BELLED found, FOUND.org.
All together.
Yes.
Yep.
So we try to put important things on there like meeting dates, and there's actually a link that details the grant application, the rubric we use.
Yep.
There's a donate now button on there. So
So
it's also a good
is that
resource.
the best way for people to contact you for any further questions? There must be a contact.
There's a link on there. You can get
Yep.
to any of the officers,
Yep.
and that
Absolutely.
comes directly to us. And we usually get back to people within
24
hours.
hours.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
our commitment. Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, so with the time remaining, I want to remind our viewers that the next meeting of the BBA will be at Lowell's Restaurant, December 11th, Wednesday evening, from 6 to 8 p.m. And in closing, I want to thank Cindy and Caryn for being my guests today, and please check back in for the next edition of Strictly Business coming in January.